Now, going back to history, knowing this definition, there are many questions. How can you define an ideology based on Jewish supremacy, based on the reclaiming of the homeland, while it was discussed at the beginning if it would be Palestine or another country where it should be a homeland for the Jews? So how did this click between the historical emphasis on Israel in the Bible or whatever? How did it come to be now Palestine as the destination?
It's important to understand how Zionism was born. First of all, it was a Christian project long before it was a Jewish project, an evangelical Christian project. Because for many evangelical Christians, what they called the return of the Jews was meant to precipitate the second coming of the Messiah and so on. And these were important people. I mean, this vision was shared by people who were prime ministers in Britain, presidents in the United States. So, and this is long before Jews were thinking about the return to Palestine. It influenced Jewish intellectuals, because Zionism did not begin necessarily with the idea of the return to Palestine. It began as a reaction to anti-Semitism in Central and Eastern Europe that became particularly harsh and ruthless in the second half of the 19th century. So the Jews were looking, some of the Jewish intellectuals and activists said, it seems that Europe doesn't want us. So what are the options? And they believed that one option was to get out of Europe. And as you may know, they didn't only think about Palestine as a destination. They thought about other places as well. And secondly, they thought that maybe there's still a chance for the Europeans to accept them if they will secularize Judaism and turn it from a religion to a nation. Maybe the Jews could be recognized as a nation and there will be less hatred to them. So the whole idea that they, murdered Jesus and all these things may disappear. Now, at a certain point, the intellectuals that led the Zionist movement began to think about Palestine as the only option for where you can save Jews and turn Judaism into a nation. And when they decided on this, they encountered the fact that quite a lot of colonialists encountered, or settler colonialists, when they were looking for a safe place outside of Europe, that someone else lives there. I mean, the Zionist leaders knew that Palestine was not empty. Definitely. But they were at the end of the colonialist era, where the fact that other people lived in the place you wanted was not a consideration that would, cancel the project of colonialism. It's true about those who went to North America, Australia, and so on. Of course, there was a difference from the way the society in Palestine was than the society of the Native Americans. And these are also different historical periods. Yeah. But the mentality was the same, namely, okay, there are Arabs there, so to speak. Maybe many of them are not really connected to the land. And anyway, we are the Europeans, and we'll have the support of the Europeans, so we can both colonize Palestine and get rid of the local population.
Yeah.
What they needed was to show that this is also a religious issue. Because most of the Jews, when Zionism started, were religious, unlike today, where many Jews are secular. So and what is the problem with religious Jews? According to the Jewish religion, you cannot return to Palestine unless God wants you to return. And the fact that you decide to be modern or secular, it does not go well with the religion.
So it can't happen as a result of a human endeavor.
Exactly. You need signs from God that this is the right place. And most of the big rabbis in the world rejected Zionism because of that. As you know, even today, ultra-Orthodox Jews are anti-Zionist because of that. They think Zionism is tempering. What the leaders of the Zionist movement did was quite clever. They did two things that helped them. One, they looked at the Bible, the Old Testament, that most religious Jews are not interested in that much. It's not like the Quran or the New Testament. Most of the Jews are learning the Talmud, the Mishnah, the books that interpret.
Yeah.
They know the Bible, but this is not what they're learning. They're learning the interpretations. The Zionist movement turned the Bible from a religious text to a historical text, to a legal text. They said, well, the Bible proves, which it doesn't, by the way, but it does prove that Palestine belongs to us. Now, the Christian Zionists loved it. They said, yeah, they're right, the Bible proves it. So they had the support of the Christians. The problem was still with the religious. They found enough rabbis to create what we call today religious Zionism. So they had few rabbis that began to give them religious legitimization, to combine nationalism with religion together.
Even at the earliest era.
Even in the earliest one, yeah. In fact, the first rabbis who gave religious legitimization to Zionism are a family of rabbis called the Kook, K-O-O-K. The son of this rabbi and the grandson, particular, these are the gurus of the Jewish settlers who went to the West Bank in '67.
Oh.
Because according to them, colonizing Palestine, getting rid of the Palestinian, is a religious imperative. The secular Zionists did not say it's a religious imperative. They said it's, we are part of Western civilization, so we have the right to do whatever we want with non-Western people.
Yeah.
But the religious Zionists, which you have their representative now pushing for the Judaization of Gaza, for the expulsion of the Palestinians from the West Bank, the creation of theocracy, a Jewish theocracy in Israel, are the ideological grandchildren of these religious Zionist Jews. So with the support of religious Zionists, with the idea of the Bible that was very liked by the Christians, they began to build this idea that Palestine historically was always the Jewish homeland. And what was really bizarre, they convinced enough people with power that the Jews who do not appear in the Bible, the word Jew doesn't appear in the Bible. Well, the sons of Israel, 2,000 years ago, were actually a nation. And that the kingdoms that are mentioned in the Bible are the first nation states of Israel. They were destroyed by the Romans.
Yeah.
And this is a huge historical fabrication, but you needed a lot of academics to help them, and a lot of people in the West bought in, for whatever reason, to that idea. And once they had and by the way, many of the people in the West who supported this idea were anti-Semites.
Yeah,
because what is better than to say, if the Jews don't want to be in Europe and want to go to Palestine, very good.
That's what I thought of the idea when you said about the Christian Zionists during that era, calling for the Jews back to Palestine as a sort of fulfilling of a prophecy. It works both ways. Then the prophecy would be fulfilled and would get rid of the Jews.
Yeah, they have to convert to Christianity in this doomsday. Yeah, of course, or they will be shish kebabbed in hell. I always say that because I think Jesus was a Jew to begin with, that they wanted to get rid of all the Jews and only to get back the only Jew they wanted, which is Jesus Christ. So this today you can understand. If you know that, you understand. People ask how come anti-Semitic right-wing Europeans are such great supporters of Israel.
Yeah.
This is the connection.